I feel the liftoff. The clock has started.
Greetings and felicitations, my perceptive purple people, and thank you for honoring me with your presence again today. Today, we're going to be discussing a little more about redirecting asteroids into our orbit for us to build our future with, and just a few of the myriad scientific advantages in doing this. We'll only touch on a few. Okay, this next idea could be a bit tricky, so I'll give an alternative as well. Now, if we can finagle the orbital mechanics to a fine enough degree and can absolutely ensure safety, it seems to me that we have an awful lot of space trash orbiting our planet at high velocities that could kill or cripple our satellites and space stations if it hits them with their thin aluminum skins and such. But an asteroid? Not so much. Instead of massive damage to an important orbital asset, the atoms hit the asteroid with what would be a relatively small thud, if there was any atmosphere to hear it. Alternatively, if this is not an absolutely 100% safe option, 99.99% won't cut it here. We can still mine the heavy materials needed to create a heavy shield to run through the orbital levels to declutter them of trash. This would be far too expensive to do by bringing up the necessary heavy mass required from Earth to do the job, much more than simply moving some mass already in an inconvenient orbital spot space to a more convenient orbital spot in space. This also leads to an opportunity for a heavy mass shield projectile that could potentially be used in the event of an extinction-level body which might be on an otherwise unavoidable collision course. Speaking of heavy metals, those are elements that we critically need in space for a myriad of reasons. Getting these kinds of metals up into orbit is prohibitively expensive, so we have had to find lighter alternatives. This is all well and good, but sometimes nothing takes the place of good old lead shielding, or beams made of steel, or steel plating instead of aluminum, for a few examples. Right now, those aren't viable options, but we can bring these critical elements into our orbit for a better ROI than trying to bring them up with all that tonnage from Earth. The miracles of aluminum and such are great, and I know all kinds of scientific arguments for the miracles of lighter elements, but, well, there's just something comforting about nice, thick, solid steel plating overhead when facing lots of little hypersonic projectiles flying about. How about some better access for scientific study? Having to send a limited team all the way out to the asteroid belt just to study an asteroid is okay for an initial contact. But for some serious in-depth study, you need time and resources available to put to the task. Having our own asteroid brought in from the belt means scientific teams have nearly unfettered access, with only short hops off planet into orbit needed for full study capabilities, combined with the valuable resource of having full mining teams readily available to assist them just a little hop over the asteroid horizon. The sheer number of opportunities for literally in-depth studies and the potential for scientific discoveries to be made is simply incalculable. Not to mention the experience of doing so. Seriously, we could go on for hours and only scratch the surface of the scientific prospects of this project, so I'll spare you any further on it. I have no doubt that you could come up with a few ideas of your own, too. You know where to post them. In the next segment, an answer to the burning question already in the minds of my fellow capitalists out there for why it has to be socialism to lead the way here. Join us, won't you please?